win a very big series at the Toronto Blue Jays, but the winning streak ends at 11. So the Yankees won the first 2 games of the series. They failed to get the sweep, and tough way for the streak to end, being that it is against the Blue Jays. And, the Yankees, I actually felt like there was a good chance going into this that they'd win. As I had previewed this series, I thought game 1 could go either way, and it kind of played out that way. The Yankees won. Game 2, I didn't like the Yankees' chances, and they actually won in convincing fashion, although that game was close. And then I thought their best chance was in game 3 against Kikuchi, but it just didn't work out. Yankees offense couldn't really do a whole lot, couldn't really get key hits when they needed to. But overall, really impressive stuff from the Yankees as their record currently sits at 18-7, which is, the best record in Major League Baseball. They are 3 games up on the loss side of the Blue Jays and the Rays. So, the Yankees have their work cut out for them, but going to Toronto and taking 2-3, that is exactly what you would want. Now, of course, you get greedy, when you win the first 2 games, but you knew the streak was going to come to an end, and, you split at home against them, and that is acceptable. But I think, now you win 2 out of 3 at Toronto. All right, 4-3 against the Blue Jays. That is pretty good. And the Yankee pitching has been just utterly brilliant against a really good Blue Jay lineup. The bullpen did not allow a run. 2 runs allowed by Montgomery, 1 by Taillon, 2 by Cortez, and that was it. So the bullpen just amazing. And just overall, the pitching great. And the offense, even though the last game didn't work out, and the Yankees didn't score, they only scored 3 runs in the first game. They've been able to, manufacture runs better than they have, for sure. Little less strikeouts, just a little bit more smart baseball. And so, things are very good from a Yankee perspective. Even though, like I said, it's tough. It's on the day that you record, in these unique, serious situations. Whereas, for Ranger games or for Giant games, it's, you're recording for that specific game. Whereas for this one, for the Yankees, you're looking at it from a series perspective. So, if the Yankees had lost the first and won the next 2, you might feel a bit better about things. But either way, I'm going to try to, to exude what is honestly a feeling that the Yankees, this is going to be a team to be reckoned with this season. There is no question. Like, you look at the American League landscape, and if the Yankees can hold off the Blue Jays and the Rays, like the Yankees' chances of doing some big things, certainly record-wise. And the Yankees, really the first game against the Blue Jays, Montgomery versus Stripling. Keep in mind, and I had explained this in the last episode, that Andujar and Schmidt were sent down. Gallo was still hurt. Gallo did return in the last game of the series and actually homered. So Gallo, but he was out the first couple of games. And so that kind of makes things easy in terms of rest roulette. But what we've seen, which is interesting, is Jose Trevino. It's about a 50-50 split now with him and Higashioka at this point. It's pretty much 50-50 the way I see it. And in some ways, it almost feels like it's Trevino versus righties, Higgy versus lefties. So if anything, it seems like Trevino has almost played more. But, in that first game, it was really Gleyber Torres was the story on the offensive side. Gleyber Torres gets it done for the Yanks. And Torres in the 4th inning off a Ross Stripling after a 1-out single for Josh Donaldson with 2 outs, Gleyber Torres is able to hit an opposite field 2-run homer to give the Yanks a 2-0 lead. Montgomery, who had pitched scoreless balls at this point, would give it up. And what I've noticed with Montgomery, and I don't mean this as a criticism, but what I notice is that when the game is tied, and the Yankees don't give him much run support, when the game is tied, Montgomery is able to hold it there. He does a very good job when you kind of absolutely need him to shut it down. But when he has a lead, it just seems like he pitches to the score, where when you give Montgomery a lead, chances are he'll give it back. It's a slight frustration. I'm not sure if other fans noticed this, but I have. And so very quickly, it's a single for Springer, an RBI double for Bichette. He gets a couple of outs, but then with 2 outs, it's an RBI single by Matt Chapman. So Matt Chapman makes it 2-2, but the Yankees were able to hold it there. Montgomery goes 5 innings, gives up a leadoff single to Bichette in the 6th. Loaiziga comes on, 4-pitch walk to Guerrero, but then Loaiziga does his thing. And like I said, he's looking better lately. Double play Gurriel and a strikeout to Chapman. And so we're 2-2. Bottom of the 7th, Miguel Castro, leadoff walk to Kirk, but then he gets Espinal to pop out and Tapia to line out. But then Tyler Heineman gets a double. So it's 2nd and 3rd, and now Castro's out of the game. You bring in Clay Holmes, which makes sense. Clay Holmes, one of the best relievers in what's already a stacked pen. He gets Springer to ground out, so it stays at 2-2. Clay Holmes continues to pitch the 8th. Strikeout Bichette, single Guerrero, single Gurriel, but he get that patented hard sinker. He gets Chapman and grounded to double play. So we're tied into the 9th. And Yimi Garcia comes on for the Blue Jays, and Giancarlo Stanton gets a leadoff single, and they pinch run Locastro. Locastro has played a pretty big role as a pinch runner. He's still second. And unfortunately, Josh Donaldson grounds out, so Donaldson does not get Locastro over. Then Hicks strikes out. Aaron Hicks is about as unclutch as it gets. Aaron Hicks. And it's funny because his numbers are not all that bad, but when you really need him, he doesn't come through. But Gleyber Torres does. Gleyber Torres smacks an RBI single, again, kind of the right center field, scores Locastro. So Locastro, that steal was big, and the Yankees take a 3-2 lead. And then Chad Green comes on to close out the 9th, which was a little bit dicey. I don't like Green in those situations, but he did face the bottom of the lineup. Kirk strikes out looking. Espinal strikes out swinging, and Tapia flies out. So Chad Green gets it done in a pressure-packed spot. And Gleyber Torres, like I said, Gleyber Torres is the story of this one. 2-run homer, game-winning single in the 9th, and the Yankees find a way to beat the Blue Jays 3-2 in what was a really well-played game. And what helped in that game and in Game 3 is that the Toronto fans, they were all concerned with the Maple Leafs game against the Tampa Bay Lightning in the NHL playoffs. Speaking of the NHL playoffs, Game 2, I was unable to watch this game live. I was at the Ranger game, but I was able to follow it, and I saw the highlights. So, you know, the hope is that I watch as many games live as I can. It gives you a different perspective, honestly, just in terms of the decision-making, sort of what you feel in the moment. But luckily, this game became so lopsided that while there was some controversy in this game, it worked out for the Yankees, and even without that controversy, the Yankees likely win this game. So Jameson Taillon, what can you say? Taillon really flies under the radar. He ends up going 6 innings, gets the win, 5 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 4 strikeouts against a very good Blue Jay lineup. Alek Manoah had his way against the Yankees, but they were able to finally clip him before it was all said and done. But the Yankees cannot touch Alek Manoah, and really most of Major League Baseball can't either. But this one, LeMahieu would not play. DJ LeMahieu was out. And so that led to Marwin Gonzalez entering the lineup. So Marwin Gonzalez is in, played left field, and actually was a pretty big contributor. Played very well, Marwin Gonzalez, in this game. But no score up until the bottom of the 5th, where Toronto gets on the board. And it would be with a 1-out double for Alejandro Kirk, then a catcher's interference on Jose Trevino. And so first and second, and Bo Bichette gets an RBI single. Scores Kirk and gives Toronto 1-0 lead, but the Yankees strike back the next inning with 1-out Aaron Hicks singles, and then he gets caught stealing. So this would kind of prove costly, as Aaron Judge, in a great at-bat with Alek Manoah on the 8th pitch, ties it up with his 9th home run of the season. So the Yanks are 1-1. And then Taillon pitches a 1-2-3-6. We head to the 7th, and this is when the Yankees explode. And Adam Simber comes on for Manoah, which was a welcome sight for Yankee fans. And Giancarlo Stanton reaches on an error by Bo Bichette. This was a close play, but I think they got it right. I think that the question was Guerrero's foot of the bag, but Bichette bobbles it, and Stanton is able to get there and beat it out. So it's an error. And then the former Blue Jay, Josh Donaldson, does come through with an RBI double to give the Yankees the lead 2-1. Then Torres strikes out, and then it's a Marwin Gonzalez opposite field RBI double, makes it 3-1 Yankees. New pitcher, Julian Merriweather, gives up an infield single to Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, first and third, and this is like really a big play. Jose Trevino hits a ground ball to Vlad Guerrero. They have Marwin Gonzalez in a rundown, third to home, And Gonzalez does a good job of at least spending enough time so that Trevino goes all the way to second, kind of left for the third, but even better, he scores. Now, this was the wrong call. A, Marlon Gonzalez kind of ran to the baseline, and B, Vlad Guerrero tagged him. Vlad Guerrero tagged him. They missed the call. This was a wrong call. So it really should have been second and third, 2 out, 3-1. Instead, it's 4-1. Then Aaron Hicks gets an RBI single. Then Aaron Judge gets a 2-run double, and boom, it's 7-1. Wandy Peralta comes on, pitches a scoreless seventh inning. In the eighth, it would be Miguel Castro with the scoreless eighth. And then in the top of the ninth, leadoff walk to Aaron Hicks. And then eventually with 2 outs, it's a 2-run homer for Giancarlo Stanton, who I should also add had a brilliant, amazing catch in the first game in right field. I believe it was the second inning. Didn't rob a home run, but an amazing – I mean, he's been very good in the field. And it's better for the lineup. It's a great development that Giancarlo Stanton has been a contributor defensively. So Stanton gets that 2-run homer, makes it 9-1, and then it would be Lucas Licky to finish it up in the ninth, giving the Yankees a 9-1 win. So then we go to the final game. Yankees at that point had already won the series, but they were, looking for the sweep, looking to get that 12-game winning streak. But unfortunately, they failed to do so. In this game, Gallo returns and Gleyber Torres hits the bench. So that's the tough reality. Is that Gleyber Torres, who had a really good first game, was the main reason they won, doesn't play the third game, and that's just, he is kind of that odd man out. To me, against righties, Gleyber Torres, everything being equal, is the guy that's going to see the bench. And so Nestor Cortez, it wasn't a great game for Nestor, but he was able to battle through. He was able to get through it. 4 innings, 2 runs, 4 walks. Like, the command wasn't quite there for Cortez, but look, 4 innings, 2 runs, it keeps you in the game, which is what he did. And so if that's going to be the worst of Nestor Cortez, I'll take it. So the Blue Jays score in the bottom of the second. It's a Matt Chapman solo home run. But Joey Gallo in the top of the third says, all right, I'll tie this baby up. As he returns to the lineup, it's to dead center field, the middle of the left of dead center. So Gallo, good to see him not trying to pull the ball. Gallo ties it up at 1. But bottom of the third, a 2-out rally. 2 out, Bo Bichette double. And then I would have pitched very carefully to Vlad Guerrero with the base open and Lourdes Gurriel on deck. Like, that wasn't spoken of enough. I feel like that was a mistake. I didn't like it. And then, of course, he gets ahead of him 0-2, and it was too good of an 0-2 pitch, and Guerrero smacks it for an RBI single, which that was the game-winning hit. There would be no scoring the rest of the game. So, and I know Gurriel did get a double the next at-bat. Still, though, I'm not saying I would intentionally walk Guerrero per se, but I would have pitched careful to him in an 0-2. That should have been nowhere near the strike zone. So that was a mistake by Nestor Cortez. But he keeps it 2-1. And, Kikuchi was just surprisingly very effective. The Yankees have done well against him in the past. He hasn't done that well this season in general. I was very surprised that the Yankees did not really get to Kikuchi. In the 6th, there was an opportunity. This is where, the umpire situation comes in. Marty Foster, just a terrible job as the home plate ump. I've been saying it forever. We need robot umps. We need robot umps. So it's a leadoff double for Higashioka. LeMahieu gets the job done and gets him over to third with a ground out. And then Aaron Judge strikes out looking. The ball was low. Aaron Judge is 6'7". He gets fucked a lot with low ball strikes that are clearly balls. And so Judge strikes out, and then Anthony Rizzo pops out, and so they don't get that run in. Michael King, meanwhile, pitched 3 scoreless innings. Michael King has been brilliant, so he pitched the 5th, 6th, and 7th. In the top of the 7th, the Yankees had an opportunity. Former Yankee David Phelps comes on, 1-out walk to Donaldson, 1-out walk to Hicks. They bring on lefty Tim Meza, and Joey Gallo strikes out, which, hate to say it, not a surprise. And then Kiner Falefa grounds out. So this was a rough game for Kiner Falefa, as we've seen him ground out softly to the left side a lot. As much as I like him, to be fair, I like him to cut down on that. I know that's part of his game. So we go to the 8th, and then with 2 outs, Yimi Garcia pitching, Aaron Boone gets ejected during the Aaron Judge at bat. A couple of questionable calls by Marty Foster, and Boone got heated, and good for him. As a Yankee fan, good for Aaron Boone. He had enough. Foster and him were face-to-face, going at it, and, it was a frustrating night. And you know what? He was most of these umps are pitchers' umps. So it's not as if the Yankees got completely shafted. I think Toronto probably had some calls, too, they would have liked to have gone their way. I think Nestor Cortez even said, for Nestor Cortez and the Yankee pitchers, they probably got some calls. But it was frustrating. We moved to the bottom of the eighth, playing Holmes, just 1-2-3 inning. Because really, for me, King and Holmes have been out of everyone, they've been the most impressive. They've been amazing. So we go to the ninth, closer Jordan Romano comes on, but the Yankees would fight with one out. Giancarlo Stanton single. Then Tim Locastro pinch runs for Stanton. Josh Donaldson single. First and second, one out, and then Aaron Hicks strikes out. Aaron Hicks, you just know he's not going to come through there. At best, he walks. But then Joey Gallo walks. So it's bases on the 2 outs for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Game on the line. And unfortunately, he grounds out to Matt Chapman, who, it was a bad throw, but Guerrero scoops it, and the game ends. So it's a tough way for the Yankees streak to end, but nothing to be ashamed of at all. Winning 2 out of 3 at the Blue Jays. It's another series win for the Yankees. The only series that they've lost was crazily enough to the Orioles. So the Yankees, like I said, 18-7, and now they head home. Face a Texas Ranger team that's not very good, but came off a pretty good series at the Phillies, from what I could tell. And so now it'll be Glenn Otto. Glenn Otto was a part of that Joey Gallo deal last year. So former Yankee prospect Glenn Otto against Garrett Cole for the first game. Then it'll be Dane Dunning versus Luis Severino. Dane Dunning was a former White Sox prospect. And then the third game will be John Gray, former Colorado Rocky pitcher, against Jordan Montgomery. So this is the key here, because I remember last year the Yankees had a 13-game winning streak, I believe it was, and then it followed up, and I think maybe about a 5-game losing streak. So home against Texas, a team that is 10-14, even though they've been better lately, this is not – and on paper, I think that they're not so bad. They did acquire, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien. It just hasn't really worked out yet. But for the Yankees, I'd love the sweep, but just win the series. Anything less than that, you can't do. But home against Texas, just continue winning series and continue building that lead in the AL East. And so, things are good for the Yanks. 11-game winning streak ends, but it's definitely a good vibe, and hopefully May will be as good as April ended. And the Yankees head home to face Texas Rangers, and then again, another series, the third already on this young season, against, the Toronto Blue Jays.